Our first speaker this morning is Ashis Nandy, who is one of the most prominent Gandhian thinkers in India. I am very, very happy to introduce him.
Thanks for that honor. I never add a G or a Mahatma in front of his name because I want to make him accessible to myself, not to others. That's not my job. I read his last testament in court, testimony if I can call it so, where he made a moving plea, spelling out his ideology and why he had to kill Gandhi, despite considering himself to be a father of the nation, because he had betrayed Mother India, which fascinated me. I was fresh from a clinic, psychoanalytic clinic, which itself was a fascinating comment. And the arguments he gave for justifying himself were so powerful in some ways. If you English it, it could pass as, say for instance, a testimony given by Professor Henry Kissinger. I begin with this because if you read the testimony of Godse, you will find that what he was saying was perfectly compatible in the contemporary idea of state, politics, and public culture. And recently, I have been doing an essay on Savarkar and also writing up a smaller essay on Madan Lal Pawa, one of the conspirators, who was part of the Gandhi conspiracy which produced Nathuram Godse ultimately and killed Gandhi. And what I thought I would do as a preface to my position on secularism is to say something about the context within which it took place, because then it will be easier for me to make the argument. Now, Savarkar, who was a freedom fighter, was sentenced to life twice over. If I might summarize my reading of it in a word for the non-psychologists, because I have another kind of an additional portrait of him for the psychologically minded. That doesn't concern you here that much. Savarkar was one who was wedded fully, unconditionally and uncritically to a modern concept of state. He is the one who also is supposed to have edited, now it transpires, Tushar Gandhi's book makes this point, supposed to have edited the last testament of Nathuram Godse, the assassin. And his concept of state was absolutely total acceptance of the concept of nation state which had emerged in the global scene in the 17th century as formalized by the Treaty of Westphalia. You can call it the post-Westphalian state for the moment. In this concept of nation state, it is presumed that the state will be built on a form of republicanism which will move out of the traditional role that the monarch had in mediating between the heavens and the earth and giving a core to the state which would legitimize it for the population. So as monarchies began to crumble in Europe or showing signs of weakness, nation states had to find out an alternative means of holding the nation state together. And this mean was supposed to be nationalism. It was nationalism which was promoted by the elites of Europe as the binding cement of the new state called nation state. State has already been there. It is the nation state as an ideological entity, as a organizing entity which is new. And nation states presume that you have a nationality which will espouse that nationalism. So nationalism, nation state and nationality, these three constructs go together. They cannot be separated from each other. Nation states need a nationality to be a nation state, and presumably this was what it was expected, that all European states at least strove for that. I mean, in India, for example, the British Indian state officially called all Scots and Welsh and Irish in India English. Everybody was English because it was logical. If there's a British, the nation state still had a monarchy, but as you perhaps know, that England, despite a monarchy, is more of a republic, and United States, despite being a republic, is more of a monarchy. But that's a different story. But in England, this is only a symptom of what I'm trying to say. In fact, the point I'm trying to make, the moral of the story is this, that in a sense, Gandhi's assassin was right. The ideology he was espousing and what his guru, Savarkar, was espousing was in touch with the modern concept of nation, modern concept of state, and modern concept of nationality. It was Gandhi who was truly rational, anti-modern, and out of tune with contemporary reality of state, nation. Not reality, I shouldn't say that. Contemporary ideology of state, nationality, and nation. And that's why my construction of his killing has clashed between two philosophies. Now, it is not an accident that Savarkar, who wrote the textbook on Hindutva, which is the Bible of the what you might call Hindu nationalists in this part of the world, was an atheist, very aggressive atheist. Savarkar began as a person who talked of a composite nationality in India, like every Congress theorist does today. A lot of our friends are involved in that exercise. And it is because he came to the conclusion that to build a nation state, you need a proper nationality, not a fictitious nationality to which you pay lip service, but in practice, you know that that will not function, that he began to move towards Hindu nationalism. His first book, which even as aggressive critic of Savarkar as A.J. Nurani calls a classic on 1857, is a history written from the point of view of a composite nationality and composite and a state built on that kind of nationality. It is only because he felt that that was not a practicable project and the survival of India required and proper nation state as it is defined in contemporary world, as it is also recognized under the United Nations Charter, that he moved to this idea of a primacy of one nationality and was willing to make the sacrifices, not his own but a lot of others receiving it, to produce a proper nation state. That was his Bible. That was the axiomatic acceptance of that. So in that sense, he is a person in proper touch with contemporary ideas of nation state and nationality. In fact, he did say in one place, I think I mentioned that time, that Hindus have no right anymore to read the Vedas and the Upanishads. they should read, they should only read science and technology and Western political theory. Only Europeans have the right to read Vedas and Upanishads, and they should read it.